Thank you for coming and welcome to the call. Tonight I will be discussing the 5 keys to unlocking your real estate investor matrix. But for newbies, what I want to do is first talk to you a little bit about what is the best kind of property to go after. Because sometimes new investors will make the mistake of looking for a house that's similar to the one that they live in. And that's really not the kind of investment that you need to make. So I had my son make up a few little Lego props for us to use tonight. So I'm going to bring one out. The first one is what you might call a luxury home or a move-up home. Let's get it in closer to the screen here. Okay, so let me hold it up. All right, so let's look at the front. See some nice landscaping. It's probably a 2-story house. It's got a lot of bedrooms. Let's look over on the side. Okay, it's got kind of a nice, see the limo there, the black limo? Some nice landscaping on the side. And as we swing around to the back, there's a pool, okay, with some nice landscaping. Now, that's the kind of house you want to live in, but it's not the kind of house that you want to remodel or maintain as a rental. That's what you want to live in after you make the money from the other houses. Now, I don't know if all of you realize, if you look at the number of properties that are out there on the market, half of the properties are starter homes. And starter homes are typically smaller homes, 1,000 to 1,800 square feet, 2 to 4 bedrooms. They're not that big. They don't have that big a yard. 25% of the homes are move-up homes. These are the homes you move up into after you've had your starter home. And then the other 25% are luxury homes. And those are the large ones like I just showed you, big pools, lots of acreage, very hard to maintain. And somebody might look at that and say, gee, I could make a lot more money if I did one of those. But you also have to realize the costs that you have outlaid to do that kind of property. So we want to stick with starter homes. It's 50% of the market. They sell very quickly. The people that are moving in aren't that sophisticated. They just want to move into something that's already fixed up. And the other thing with a starter home is that they have to move. They are moving from an apartment. So they probably have a baby on the way. They already have a baby. The second one's on the way. They have 2 babies, 2 kids, and the third one's on the way. They have to move to get some more space. Okay. In a move-up home, what happens is they're already in a starter home and they can think about moving. They can look around. They're not in a hurry. Those homes stay in the market longer. So they're slower to sell and they're only 25% of the market. So you really want to stick with starter homes, 50% of the market, and they move very quickly. So anyway, those are the homes you want. So here's a starter home. I'll just hold the other one up as an example so that you can see the difference in size, the difference in the yard. So this is a nice basic starter home. Here's the front yard, not too much landscaping. Okay, it's probably a 1-story house. And on the side, we conveniently put an RV because we're in California. Let me get the shadow off my face. So that's the starter home. It doesn't have that big a yard, not a lot of landscaping. Notice no pool in the back. Okay, there's probably a yard in the back, but no pool. Okay, so this is the kind of house that you're looking for. Remember, about 1,000 square feet, or I like to say 1,200, up to 1,600 or 1,800 square feet. That's what you're going to look for. So that being said, let's jump right into the real estate investor matrix. And this is something that I put together. I made a slide for you. And what I'm going to do after the broadcast is make it into an infographic so I can send it out. It'll be posted wherever you see the link to the video, whether on the event page or Facebook or Google. You'll also be able to get a link. And if you sign up for Hangouts, you'll automatically get an email with that infographic on it. so that everyone can have it. So what the real estate investor matrix does is it helps people figure out what their best resource is, and then how you're going to use that best resource, because people they're strong in some areas, weak in others, and they need to really focus on their best resource and use that in their investing. So if you see me looking around the page, I'm trying to see where all my slides are and things like that. So let me pull up the slide, and we'll begin, and I'll kind of go over what you need to do and what your resources are. Some of the resources that you might consider are your credit, your cash, your skills, and your time. So let me take a look at that and load it up for you. Here we go. All right. So here's our real estate investor matrix, and it's a little small. It's up there in the left-hand corner. So you'll see the 4 resources that you have: cash, credit, time, and skills. And what I've done is drawn a symbol between those 4 different resources that you have to let you know what type of investing you should do if you have a majority of your resources in that particular quadrant. Okay, so let's start at the bottom. If you have a lot of time and some skills in terms of finding properties or doing mailers, your best bet is to start out wholesaling properties. So you have time and skills, but no cash or credit. So think about that as, the way that it works. And I don't think I have any drawing tools. So if you have time and skills, you really want to be wholesaling property. And I'll discuss a little later what those skills would be. If you have a lot of cash and credit, you can work as a private lender. And I've moved the private lender way over closer to the cash because it works best if you have the most cash. Sometimes you can use your credit and be a partner on a property because you have really good credit, and the investor probably doesn't because they've owned a lot of other properties and rentals and their credit's not as high as yours. So cash and credit, good private lender. Now let's look at the 2 sort of more traditional ways that people invest in real estate. If you're a flipper, you will need lots of time. You'll need the skills to do it, whether it's doing the work yourself, but mostly managing the crew and also finding the properties. And you also need some cash or access to the cash, perhaps from a private lender. So as a flipper, you kind of need more things going on at the same time to make that work. Okay, let's look at landlord. As a landlord, you'll need some cash. You can get started with not too much if you're taking property over subject to, but people want to see a down payment usually. And you'll need some credit, because if you want to borrow any money, even from the hard money lenders these days, they're asking to show some credit scores. Even if they're not high credit scores, but they want to see what your credit is. And you'll also need some skills. So the landlord skills, some of those have to do with remodeling the property, and some just have to do with picking the right tenants, because some landlords will buy the property already fixed up, which you're welcome to do, but again, you need the cash and credit to do that. So what I want you to focus on is where do I fit in? Where are my highest resources? And that you should start investing in an area where you have more resources than the next guy. So don't just go in and say, well, I'd like to be a flipper, but you really don't have any time and you don't have the skills. The least amount of time really is a private lender. What takes the most amount of time is wholesaling, because you have to find the properties, negotiate the properties, and then also find the buyers. But you don't need any cash or credit, so it's a good way to start if you're starting with not much money. So with a wholesaler, you need a lot of time. The skills, what kind of skills would you need? You need to know about mailings, how to do a mailer, how to do bandit signs, how to do door knocking. Those are the kind of things you can use as a wholesaler. As a flipper, your skills are more in line with finding the properties, which you can do all the same things a wholesaler did, or you can just buy the property from a local wholesaler. So you need skills in managing your crew. You'll need some accounting and budgeting skills because you have to keep a tight rein on how much money you spend in order to make money when you flip it. So those are some of the skills you need as a flipper. As a landlord, you'll need skills to do with remodeling, budgeting, and also selecting the right tenant and knowing when you kind of need that BS meter. You know, when to believe the tenant and when to just kick them out and start over. And you can, you know, the more credit you have, of course, you can leverage yourself and have a few more rentals. If you have cash, you can be a private lender. It's a good way to kind of observe some deals before you kind of put your money into a deal that you're working on. You can put your cash into a deal that someone else is running as a private lender. And in that case, you can observe the deal. You're not going to make as much money, but you're still going to make a nice return. And that return will be, you know, more secure because you're the one lending on the property. You get paid first when they sell it. And the people who flip the property, they're only going to make money if there's a profit in it. So if you're a private lender, you'd have your property secured by a note and a deed of trust and on the property, or a mortgage in certain states. And so that's what you would want to do. In California, we call it a note and a deed of trust. Other states, they'll use the mortgage setup. So anyway, that's the real estate investor matrix. Now, I said 5 keys. What's the 5th key? The 5th key, and let me turn this back off for a minute. The 5th key that you're going to need, let me put my logo back there. Of course, now I have this line moving around. It's kind of attached to my head. Let's see if I can turn that off. There we go. Let me get my identification back on there. All right. The 5th key is teamwork. Everyone can't be good at everything in life, and they certainly can't be good at everything in real estate. And it's something that maybe gets glossed over when you go to trainings or gurus and stuff because they have a team in place. Sometimes they talk about your team as your escrow officer, your agent, your accountant, your attorney. But those aren't the people working with you day to day on getting the property and making sure you make a profit. Those are really professionals that you've hired to work with you. So a team is really 3 other people, probably yourself and 2 other people that have skills in different areas and can use their skills to the best of their ability. So if someone's really good at finding the properties, someone else is probably better at the accounting. Someone may be very good at working with the contractors, but they're not so good at finding the properties. Or someone else is really good at finding the properties, and they're not so good with the details of escrow or finding buyers for the property. So what you really need to do is find a small team of people, other investors. I suggest you go to realtor meetings and real estate club meetings in your area, and just try to meet other people that want to invest and have skills in certain areas. And that way, you know, you can work with a nice group of people, and you're not doing all the work. You can't be out in the field watching the rehab and also door knocking and sending out mailers. You just can't do it all at once. So build your team, figure out what your highest resource is. Is it cash, credit, time, or skills, or a combination of those? And then plug into the best kind of real estate investing for you to start with. You need to start someplace where you have the right number of skills and you can handle it. So that's our info for tonight. We'll be doing a call every Thursday, a hangout, and follow me on my Facebook page. There's a Facebook page for Wise Wealth University. There's also a Google Plus business page for Wise Wealth University. And you can also follow me on Twitter. On Twitter, I'm the Pink Professor, hence the pink shirt. And so follow me there, and you'll be getting notifications about, the different hangouts that we're going to have. So that's all for tonight. I will be looking forward to seeing some of you on the call next week. And remember, check out Wise Wealth University on Facebook. Check out Wise Wealth University on Google Plus, and Pink Professor on Twitter. And everyone have a great evening, and I'll see you next week.